UFC 283 Teixeira versus Hill just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, and my overall event recap as well, starting with the early prelim opener of Daniel Marcos versus Saimon Oliveira. I picked Daniel Marcos as the underdog. I didn't know why he was an underdog. I thought just watching the two of them individually, you could see that Daniel Marcos would have a big advantage on the feet. Saimon Oliveira was chopping up the legs, but it just wasn't enough because the pressure of Daniel Marcos was too much. He walked down Saimon Oliveira, landed good shots to the body and the head, and eventually that's what did it, the body shots. In the second round, I just rewatched the finish. Brutal, brutal win from Daniel Marcos, walking down Saimon Oliveira and just beating him up to the body. He landed a teep and then a liver shot. Little left hook to the liver that got a reaction out of Saimon Oliveira, and as soon as he saw the reaction, he started blasting knees to the body on Saimon Oliveira, eventually finishing him with a knee to the body. At distance, he wasn't even in the clinch, he was just throwing him, just because that's how hurt Saimon Oliveira was, hunched over against a cage. Very good finish to kick off the card for Daniel Marcos. I have no idea why he was an underdog. It made no sense whatsoever. We move on. Josiane Nunes versus Zarah dos Santos. I didn't watch this one live, so I just rewatched it before I made this video. Arguably could go either way. You could honestly give this fight to Zarah. She was winning it at range. I know she was moving backwards the whole time, and Josiane Nunes was the one pressuring the entire time and walking her down. So I don't mind giving this fight to Zarah in the second and third round, but it's one of those things in women's MMA. If it's close, it's harder to tell who's winning than it is in men's MMA, I feel like, because not much is like landing really clean. Not much is landing really good. It's just like whoever's pressuring, if it's close, is going to get the win. Plus, the crowd were going hyped and getting really excited anytime Josiane Nunes landed anything. So, surprising performance from Zarah. I didn't think she was going to put up a good fight, but Josiane Nunes had a good second and third round, putting on the pace, putting on the pressure. It arguably could have gone to Zarah, watching it back. Just the little glimpses I saw. So, yeah. I don't know, one of them fights in it. But Josiane Nunes got the win by decision, pressuring Zarah and landing the better shots in the later two rounds, I guess, and getting the better of the moments, I would imagine. We move on up the card to another fight, which is Nicolas Dalby versus Warlley Alves. Good win from Nicolas Dalby. I thought he won maybe every round. There's a chance at 2-1. I don't see how you can have it 2-1. Warlley Alves, I thought that, the first round was Nicolas Dalby's pretty clearly. I rewatched that one. Round 2 was very close. Round 3 was competitive and close with Warlley Alves landing the better shots, but Nicolas Dalby landing more of the shots, you know what I mean? And he ended up on top and had 4 minutes of control time. So I feel like Nicolas Dalby won the fight on volume and just putting on the more shots. You know what I mean? They both were landing good shots. Maybe Warlley Alves was connecting a little bit better in certain moments, but Dalby was just putting in more work in every position. He was outworking him in the clinch, outworking him at range, and eventually that's what the judges went for, 29-28 to Nicolas Dalby. Very good win for him. I said he would win 29-28, and he won 29-28, so that is 3-0 on the card so far. Moving on to my first L of the card. Ismael Bonfim versus Terrance McKinney. While that hype was fun while it lasted, Terrance McKinney may come back and still be a dangerous guy in that division. Don't get me wrong. But to me, he kind of looked a bit silly in this fight. He looked like a guy who was just trying to get highlight reel KOs. Am I wrong? Like, Ismael Bonfim was moving around, feinting at McKinney, throwing a jab out there, going low with a couple jabs to the body and then bringing him upstairs and trying to find angles on McKinney. And what was McKinney doing the entire time? Head kick, knee to the face, front kick to the face, head kick again, head kick again, head kick again. It's like he had nothing other than trying to go for a highlight reel KO. It was weird to me. Like, dude, set something up, get a jab going. And Bonfim made him pay. Massively made him pay. Was winning the first round, landed the better shots in the first round, knocked McKinney off balance at one point in the first round. It was unclear if it was a knockdown or if it was off balance, but when you watch back the replay, it was an off balance knockdown. Even got a takedown on McKinney in the first round and kept him down for a bit. McKinney reversed it, had the back for a second, but Bonfim stayed calm. reversed position, ended up on top again. So, good first round for Bonfim. It's not like he fluked this win out of nowhere. He was winning the whole time. And then round 2, he started getting his timing down on his punches. And you could see McKinney just doesn't have, like, the fundamental striking. Like, he's wild. And that can take you a certain that can take you a certain distance in the sport. But at lightweight, Dober showed this as well in his fight with McKinney. You've got to have those fundamentals to keep your chin tucked. Like, not everyone gets a Giga Chad jaw like Drew Dober where they can take everything. And McKinney learned that today because Bonfim started to time him, started to find his range. McKinney kept throwing and ducking his head, blind throwing punches. Really not a good look for him here. And then Bonfim eventually realized this guy keeps ducking his head over his shots. I'm going to time the flying knee. And time the flying knee he did. He knocked out McKinney's mouthpiece with a punch against the cage. And then as McKinney dipped down to throw an overhand, looking at the floor, McKinney got hit with a flying knee right on the chin. Face planted out cold on the canvas. Bonfim with one of the best UFC debuts. And also KO of the year. I know there's only been 2 cards, but come on, I don't see anyone beating that anytime soon. Very good win from Bonfim. We move on to another fight on the card, which was the next fight up the card. Cody Stamann versus Luan Lacerda. I guess you can give Cody Stamann the first 2 rounds. I thought maybe in the 3rd round, because Luan Lacerda got a takedown, it would be like, okay, you can give the 3rd round to Luan Lacerda. First round was close. I thought Luan Lacerda did a bit more early than Stamann did late in the first round. But on the numbers, it said Stamann landed more. One of them rounds, innit? Who did more early? Who did more late? Very close round in round 1. Round 2, Stamann was dominating round 2. Very clearly winning. Sorry, not dominating, but very clearly outstriking Lacerda. He looked like he hurt him a couple of times. Looked like he hurt him to the body with those hooks as well. Stamann looked really good. His boxing looked very crisp. I just think it was a risky tactic because he looked like he was taking off the 3rd round. Didn't he? He looked like he was taking off the 3rd round and coasting like, I've won the first 2, I've won. But I was like, dude, round 1 is very close. So, again, another fight on this card that could have gone either way. They went with Cody Stamann. He looked all right. You know what I mean? He didn't look great. Didn't look like a guy who's going to be making it back into the rankings anytime soon. Like, I think Stamann was top 10 at one point nearly, so I don't think he's going to get back to that point in his career, but he's getting wins over some tough up-and-comers. Good for him. He got a good paycheck, and his body shots looked good, and he was fighting well on the inside, so good job, Cody Stamann. Close win from him. I said 29-28. He got 29-28. We move on. Up the card, Jailton Almeida versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. This guy's a problem for USADA and for the heavyweight division. Craziness. First of all, I was shocked by Shamil's lack of footwork and athleticism, just plodding around with a guy who you know is going to shoot double legs on you. And he did cause some issues for Jailton Almeida to deal with, like he was escaping bad positions, getting back to his knees, getting back to his base, trying to stand back up, but eventually you just got to succumb to Jailton Almeida getting the top position, keeping control, and landing the ground and pound shots in round 2 when he needed to. He ended up in mount at the end of round 1, landed a bunch of good shots there. And then at round 2, he had the arm of Shamil pinned against a cage, and Shamil just couldn't move. So eventually the referee had to step in, and Jailton Almeida got a TKO from back control. Very, very good win from Jailton Almeida, eventually taking it back and beating him up on the ground. But yeah, dominant performance from Jailton Almeida. It's crazy to me that Shamil... I really am surprised by this card in a few ways, that some people can't figure out these other heavyweights a bit easier. I know Shamil's a bit older now, and maybe he's past his prime and stuff like that, but man, he just was plodding around, putting his feet right next to each other for Jailton Almeida to shoot in and scoop up the legs. Very good performance by Jailton Almeida. I just think I'm learning more and more in these heavier weight classes how much athleticism can be a huge factor, because we don't really have many athletes. So, good job, Jailton Almeida. We'll see if he can get to the belt before USADA get him. Very good performance, dominant performance, and we'll see if he decides to go light heavyweight or heavyweight, because he wasn't even too big for heavyweight. So, if I was him, I'd jump between the two, because that way you can get paid beating up lower level comp and get your contract good before you start fighting for a belt. You know what I mean? We move on to another fight up the card, which is Gabriel Bonfim versus Mounir Lazzez. They got after it straight away. I feel like Ismael Bonfim's win sort of spurred on Gabriel, and they started scrapping in the first round. Both guys landing good shots on each other. Bonfim kind of getting the better of it with some big hooks that he was landing on Lazzez, but Lazzez was landing some decent shots as well. To the body, to the legs, but Bonfim was landing hooks to the head in the exchanges. And then out of nowhere, they clashed. Mounir Lazzez dipped his head. That's all it took for Bonfim. Oh, you're dipping your head on me? Boom. No takedowns to get yourself out of this danger. You know what I mean? Lazzez tried to sort of like shoot a takedown because he was worried about the first round pressure. Boom. Mounir Lazzez straight into a guillotine. Bonfim's latched it up, rolled him over, drops to guard with it. Very, very good from Gabriel Bonfim. Dominant performance. Immediate submission. Both the Bonfim brothers looked amazing on this card. I didn't think both of them would win. I thought only Gabriel would win. But both of them are going to be problems in their division 100%. Amazing performances from both. And yeah, really good win. We move on. Up the card, Thiago Moises versus Meliquiziel Costa is his name. Thiago Moises, patient first round. Arguably could have lost it, but he got a bit of top position time and got a couple of takedowns, so it was like, okay, maybe he can get the first round. It was a close first round, and to be fair, Meliquiziel wasn't landing great shots, and he was getting clipped by some big punches by Thiago Moises. So you can give round one to Moises still. His boxing looked massively improved in this fight. He had much better timing on his hooks on the counter, waiting for Costa to make a mistake and then catching him with some big punches. So he looked like he didn't have to rely on his grappling as much as maybe he used to against Michael Johnson in that fight, where he was just getting torn apart and then had to drop down for a leg for a win, you know. He looks a lot more calm, a lot more patient. Round two, got his takedown a little bit easier, and then he started to get into a more dominant position on Meliquiziel Costa, take the back, scoot around, get the wrist control, land some good ground and pound shots, and eventually Meliquiziel Costa had to give up his back to try and get back to his feet. Just not something you can do against Thiago Moises. Moises was patient, waited for his moment on the ground, found it and got the rear naked choke. It was more of like a face crusher, to be honest. He didn't even have it under the neck, I don't believe, or under the chin. It was just across the face, but Moises has got that level of squeeze where you don't even need to have it under the chin. So very, very good win from Thiago Moises. Solid performance. Called out Pimlet. They won't make that fight. They're going to do Pimlet versus Tony Ferguson, I'm telling you. But very good win from Thiago Moises. We move on to another fight up the card, which was Bruno Ferreira versus Gregory Rodrigues. This one was crazy. I picked Gregory Rodrigues to win. Both guys were landing decent shots on each other, but I thought that, you know, Gregory Rodrigues was landing the better of the shots. He was getting his jab going. He was being very patient and trying not to scrap and brawl with Bruno Ferreira, who's a powerful guy with big hands, big power. But Bruno Ferreira, man, gave him a couple looks. What did this remind me of? There was another fight where a guy gave a couple looks to someone against a cage like that before eventually KOing him. But I can't quite remember which one it was. Someone against a cage, giving a couple looks to someone of weirdness, and then a sudden KO out of nowhere. Can't even remember what it was, but someone in the chat will mention. Someone backing up, giving a couple looks, changing angles a couple times, and then bang, catches him on the chin. Either way, very good win. From Bruno Ferreira. Left hand, straight down the pipe. Didn't even look like it had too much steam on it, to be honest with you. It looked like you know the punch Pavlovich dropped to Ivasa with in the first round, that straight punch that you don't see coming, I guess, because you're usually expecting someone to swing overhands at you. Very, very good. Right down the pipe from Bruno Ferreira. And immediately as it landed, it KO'd Gregory Rodrigues. So must have some real power in his hands. Very good win in his debut. Gregory Rodrigues, a guy a lot of people thought was going to give the rest of the division massive problems. Ferreira takes him out on short notice in his debut. Crazy win. We move on. Up the card, Ihor Potieria versus Shogun Rua. Ihor Potieria did it. I will say this, though. He got the win, but he was actually like kind of losing before he got the win. Like, I'm not trying to take away from him because Shogun's a legend and retired from the sport, and like it's tough to see, but Ihor Potieria was still getting clipped with big shots on the chin. I think he got cracked with an overhand in the first minute or so that kind of woke him up a bit. Like, he still was getting caught with his hands down in the pocket and stuff like that. So it's not like he looked amazing, but you can't take shots as an old man unless you're Glover Teixeira, I guess, because Shogun Rua took a shot behind the ear. It looked like they clashed heads, but they didn't really. It was just it just looked that way, but they didn't really clash heads. It was just Shogun getting clipped behind the ear, wobbled a little bit. And one thing you have to say about Ihor Potieria from what we've seen in his career, even on the Contender Series as well, is even though he's not the most technical, and he does get clipped, and he makes mistakes, and he might be losing until he gets the win, his finishing potential is really, really good. You know what I mean? Like, he will find the finish if he has his moment to drop you. And he swarms, and he has great accuracy when he swarms. So, very good win from Ihor Potieria. Sucks to see Shogun lose on that note, but yeah, whatever. Also, I feel like it's kind of harsh to come down on Potieria for celebrating his win and doing a little dance and stuff like that. But, like, because, like, the dude's from war-torn Ukraine. He desperately needs a win. He lost his debut. Like, this is his life. Like, he's allowed to celebrate a win. I know maybe don't do a little fucking emote. I get that. But, like, let him have his moment to, like, embrace his win that he hasn't got yet. Like, his big moment in the UFC. His country's being blown apart. Like, surely he can have a little bit of a celebration. I don't know. I don't think it was that disrespectful. He was very respectful afterwards. And even, like, made sure to give Shogun some time on the mic for his retirement. So, either way, we move on. Up the card. Paul Craig versus Johnny Walker. Craig's got no chin, and neither does Walker, but Walker can hit a chin easier than Craig can, and that's what we found out. I picked Johnny Walker to win this fight by first round KO. Craig landed a couple leg kicks early on, a kick to the body early on as well, I believe. Johnny Walker landed a couple punches, a leg kick of his own early on as well. But basically what it came down to was Paul Craig shot a takedown, Paul Craig caught a kick, put two hands on it, tucked his chin, while grabbing a hold of Johnny Walker's leg and just trying to walk him down, whilst just letting Johnny Walker punch him in the face the whole time. So Johnny Walker was like, oh, okay, you're just going to hold on to my leg. Boom, boom, boom. Swung a couple punches at him, rocked him. And then while Paul Craig was rocked on the floor, Walker was just smashing him with, like, rear hammer fists, almost. You know what I mean? So, yeah, tough for Paul Craig. Got finished pretty brutally. Really good TKO win for Johnny Walker. Athletic dude, very dangerous in the first round. We knew that, and we still know that. But, man, Paul Craig has got to find a better way of getting fights to the ground. And that's something that he's going to have to deal with in his career. We'll see what happens next for him. But good win from Johnny Walker. Really good finish. Kind of uneventful, though, right? Little bit of a, oh, well, that's that then. You know what I mean? We move on. Up the card. Jessica Andrade. Oh, my God. Versus Lauren Murphy. 231 significant strikes. She outlands Lauren Murphy 61-22 in round 1. 75-29 in round 2. This is Holloway Cater numbers, by the way. 95-49 in round 3. She beat her so badly in this fight. That is life-changing damage to Lauren Murphy. Life-changing damage. There were multiple standing 10-8 rounds given where no knockdowns occurred, but some 10-8s were given out, which I like, because they were 10-8 rounds. She was just getting beaten up the whole time. The fact that her corner let her go out for round 3, pathetic, to be honest with you. I think it's pathetic. Well, she ain't fighting for a title shot. I don't think she gets a title shot if she wins. We already know Shevchenko's fighting Grasso and then probably Fiora afterwards. Like, why does she have to take that beating for? Why? Prove she's tough? Like, she is tough. She's got a great chin for a women's fighter. Andrade just put down a lot of fighters in the women's divisions, including Chookagian, but what are we proving here? Why does she need to go out for the third round? It should have been stopped in the second, or let her go out for the third, but if it keeps happening the same way, throw in the towel. Why did we need to see her go the distance and take an absolute whooping in that fight? An absolute whooping in that fight. Non-stop shots. Didn't move her chin at all. Just kept flailing her arms about like this, taking shots on the chin over and over again. Like, it's just bad to watch because they're terrible, but Andrade swings hooks like a man. And that's all it takes in women's MMA to be a real problem for some of these contenders. So, very good win from Jessica Andrade. I say move down to strawweight again because she's probably not going to get another title shot against Shevchenko anytime soon. But the Zhang Weili loss was quite a long time ago now. So, and she has a win over Lemos. So if she comes down to strawweight and gets another win over any top contender, she'll probably get a title shot again. So Yeah, that's what I think she should do, but very good win from her. Very dominant performance. Credit to Lauren Murphy, though she was tough. We move on. Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny. What is there to say? Neil Magny landed a couple tapping shots at range. Burns landed a big body kick at range, I believe it was, or a big punch at range at one point. Landed a jab on Magny, which was crazy. Good to see from him because... burping up a storm over here. Normally his problem is the jab, so it was good to see him land a jab on Magny early on and establish that, like, I'm not going to be peppered at range here. I'm coming to get you. And then eventually... he threw his shot, threw a big few punches, made Magny's hands come up to defend himself, used it to get the body lock, tripped Neil Magny, swept him off his feet, ended up on top in half guard. Terrible position for Magny to be in, just like a minute into the fight, and then immediately started passing over the guard. Magny did an okay job defending early on, but eventually Burns just needed a few attempts to get to side control. And once he got to side control, he was elbow in the face, punch in the face, elbow in the body. And, yeah, as the fight went on, just eventually waiting for his moment. Slowly but surely waiting for his moment. Putting Neil Magny's arms in bad positions. He had him against a cage once. I thought he was going to go for an armbar, but he didn't go for it. He bought his time a little bit. And eventually pushed Magny's arm into an arm triangle position. And made him tap. Made him tap in the first round. Very good win from Gilbert Burns. Almost exactly how RDA finished Magny, but... without the kick to get him to the ground in the first place, he used a takedown. So it was good to see Gilbert Burns get a sub. He hasn't got a single sub at welterweight yet. You know what I mean? And he's been there for a while, so he's not really a guy who gets offensive submissions. Like, you'll armbar a guy off bottom, and you'll, like, create danger there, get a triangle, or maybe you'll get a rear naked choke over some lower level lightweight. But it was good to see him finally put that jiu-jitsu to use and show that he has that in his game plan. I think he'll need that against some other contenders, so it was good to see from him for once. Very good from Gilbert Burns. Dominant performance. Called out Colby Covington afterwards. I said he would. I said he would win by arm triangle in the first round as well, but do I think he's going to get the Covington fight? I don't, man. I want to see Chimaev Covington, so I don't mind Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad, fight night main event at some point, pay-per-view main card, opener, I don't mind. But I also wouldn't mind Burns versus Covington if Chimaev fights Bilal Muhammad for a title shot. That would also be fine. To be fair, the winner of Muhammad Chimaev, both Muhammad and Chimaev are one fight away from a title shot. Burns and Colby aren't both one fight away from a title shot. They could be, but they're not as much as Bilal and Chimaev are. If Bilal or Chimaev win another fight, they kind of have to get a title shot. You don't have to give Covington a title shot if he beats Burns. You don't have to give Burns a title shot if he beats Covington, so... I think that maybe could be a better way of matching them up. Who knows? Especially timing-wise, right? Burns just fought. Covington's going to probably be back in April, May. Bilal's looking for a fight. Chimaev's looking for a fight. We'll see if they get it done. We move on to another fight on the card, which was Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo. Moreno won the fight very clearly. Round 2, there's an argument to go to Figueiredo because he had the guillotine attempt, and it was a good guillotine at one point, so... you can give round 2 to Figueiredo if you want to. He landed a couple decent punches that round as well. But it came down to this. Moreno's got better hand speed. And Figueiredo, as much as he's a dangerous, powerful guy for the flyweight division, he had this aura and mystique about him to where fighters would be almost on the defeated foot first. Like, they would really, like, let him lead the dance on them. We saw this with Perez. We saw this with Benavidez, especially in the second fight. Figueiredo's got such power that a lot of fighters early on in his reign and in his rise in the flyweight division were shocked by that, and they would just sort of play on the back foot and say, I can't get hit, can't get hit. Moreno's the first guy to sort of break that illusion and be like, no, I'm just going to stand and trade with you, and I'm going to beat you at it. You know what I mean? And he in the first fight it was dangerous, but he showed that he could do it. Second fight he did it by going on the lead, but Figueiredo had a bad weight cut, of course. Third fight, he got caught trying to do it, but overall in that fight, he was able to do it. And then this time, round 4, quadrilogy time, he won, and he won in the hand speed department, landed some good kicks, a good kick to the body in the first round as well. And it was a perfectly okay finish, in my opinion. Perfectly okay finish. He landed a punch with a thumb to the eye swelled shut. You can't have a swollen shut eye in a fight. They called off the fight. I want to say this, though. I'm okay. I saw people seeing my reaction to this angry, and I was angry. no shit, I'm angry about the outcome of this fight, dude. The most epic quadrilogy the only quadrilogy in UFC history, an epic quadrilogy between Miranda Moreno and Davison Figueiredo. I picked Moreno to win. I said he would be better every round and win a clear decision. He was on his way to doing that. He also used a lot of offensive grappling in this fight and got a lot of the better positions with the takedowns. But I'm okay. I'm justified to be angry about the outcome of this fight. It was dead. Not much happened. A lot of top control with not a lot going on. Figueiredo had a couple of close submission attempts with a heel hook and guillotine. Not much else happened other than that, though. Couple shots at range. Boom. One punch lands in the eye from Moreno. Figueiredo's eyes well shut. It's over. It's uneventful. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't the cool way to end the quadrilogy. I'm allowed to be upset at the way it ended. I thought this fight was going to be an epic war to settle the quadrilogy. You know what I mean? And instead, we got two iffy rounds. Moreno winning the first. Figueiredo potentially winning the second. But, you know, it still goes Moreno. Maybe, who knows? And then that's it. Round 3. Boom. Thumb in the eye. Oh, it's all over. The eye swell shut. It's like not a good way to end the quadrilogy. But Moreno is the better fighter. He's proven that now, I think. He was winning the third round pretty dominantly anyway, so I reckon he would have gone on to just win a decision. It looked like Figueiredo was slowing down from all the grappling, so yeah, good win from Moreno. Got doused with beer on the way out. Fuck the Brazil crowd. I'll make a video on that tomorrow. A good win from Moreno, but I'm not happy with the way that quadrilogy ended. I thought it was going to be an epic ending, but it was just very uneventful and anticlimactic. We move on. Main event, Jamal Hill, Glover Teixeira. Let me read you the numbers, man. 46-12 in round 1, Jamal Hill. 51-21 round 2, Jamal Hill. 44-17 round 3, Jamal Hill. 79-18 round 4, Jamal Hill. 12-7 round 5. Crazy from Jamal Hill. Round 4 was a 10-8, of course, because he had all the ground and pound moments as well. But Jamal Hill, on 5 weeks' notice, with a fat belly, came in, stuffed all the takedowns but 2 of them. Stuffed 15 takedowns from Glover. Every takedown in the first 2 rounds as well, which is crazy. Only got taken down in the third. Got right back up when he got taken down. Had equal control time to Glover in the fight. Round 5, he got taken down, got mounted. I was like, oh my god, Glover's about to finish him. He's mounted Jamal Hill in round 5, and both of them are exhausted. Glover could finish him here if he puts on the pressure. Hill was just like, oh god, I've been mounted. Anyway, shift the hips, find the underhook, finds his way out the bottom of Glover Teixeira, reverses position, ends up on top, side control, separates. Like, it's just like Jamal Hill. He had one of those, I said this in the initial reaction, when Garbrandt beat Cruz. It's like certain fighters, for whatever reason, on that night, they just become like a 10 times better version of themselves. And he became like the champion of the division on that night. He showed up big time. This ain't the Jamal Hill we've seen before. I swear to God. He reached a new high and he rose to the occasion. We'll see if he can keep the belt. I think he'll be a favourite in most of his fights going forward for sure. He's a fun champion to talk about as well, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, really, really fun. Really, really fun fight. Great war. Glover's got a hell of a chin. Respect to Glover. He retired, of course. Not a bad way to retire, but he did take a lot of damage, which is sad to see because he's had 2... with what Yuri did to him, I know he did a lot to Yuri as well, but with what damage Yuri did to him and what damage Jamal Hill just did to him on top of it, 2 fights in a row, that's a hell of a lot of damage to take, man. Hell of a lot of damage. I just want to tally it up. Glover Teixeira took 352 significant strikes in his last 2 fights. Crazy. And they're big shots as well that were rocking him and stuff. So they're not like little jabs for 5 rounds. Very good performance from Jamal Hill. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Yeah, I'm tired, exhausted. Jesus. Anyway, I did good on this card though. I would have loved if I got the Glover win. The fact that he retired made me kind of happier that I didn't, because Jamal Hill is going to be an active champ now. It would be sad if Glover won and retired in Brazil. That would be really bad. Fuck the crowd for leaving Glover in the cage to retire in an empty arena. Should have been cheering his name, but they didn't. Pathetic. Never go back to Brazil. Holding back some words. Yeah, that was that. I did, what, 12-3? I did pretty good on the card. Pretty good predictions. I got Daniel Marcos as an underdog, second round TKO. I said that, it happened. I got Nunes winning. I got Dalby 29-28. That happened. I got it. I didn't get the McKinney fight right. I got Stamann 29-28 decision in a close fight. Got that one. I said Jailton Almeida TKO. Got that. Bonfim, I said first round sub. Got that one. Moises, second round sub. Rear naked is what I said. I got it. Perfect. Didn't get the Rodrigues fight right. But Ihor Peteria first round TKO. Got that one. Johnny Walker first round TKO. Got that one. Andrade won. I didn't say she would win that way, but she won. I said Burns first round arm triangle. He won first round arm triangle. I said Moreno late finish or decision, but then I ended on decision. He won. Just didn't get the main event. So pretty good card, but didn't end it with the cherry on top. Like and subscribe. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Jamal Hill era. You know what I mean? Big Terrio era, boys. It's here.